Hello, YouTube. I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you are interested in purchasing my book, I will go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. All right, so today we are talking about minimalism, I guess. So someone had asked me, I can't take myself seriously looking like this, but I'm just going to go with it. I like it. Let's do that. So a couple of people asked me what my methods are for minimalism and how to start and stuff like that. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I am not like purposefully setting out to be a minimalist of any sort. It just kind of happened. It started with my kitchen utensil drawers. First, it was like the forks, knives, and spoons, and then it went on to like the stuff you cook with, like spatulas and giant spoons and stuff like that, and it just moved on from there. And as you can see, I guess I don't have a lot of stuff. I have the things that are important to me. And maybe I'm just a really simple person. Maybe I'm even a simple-minded person. I don't really know, but I do know this. There's a couple of things that have come to light. So a lot of things that like what people end up doing is they just like accumulate in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and then their 50s, they just kind of chill out. And then 60s and 70s, people, you'll notice people start downsizing and getting rid of a lot of stuff. And maybe it's because they're, on the later side of life, and maybe I just happened to figure this out a couple decades early. We've all got our different experiences. There's that Netflix documentary on the minimalists. And they even have their own podcast, The Minimalists. And they talk about they packed up everything they owned and put them in boxes and left them in there. And if they didn't need them by such and such a time, they didn't need them. And then they started traveling and doing all this stuff. That's not where I come from. So, and it just kind of, it's not something that I think about on a regular basis, and it's not really that big of a deal to me. It's just, when my mom passed away, that was in 2010, February 10th, 2010, I believe it was a Wednesday. I was in charge of clearing out her house. Now, what happened with my mom, she was always very minimalist growing up. And then as soon as my brother and I moved out, she turned into this reckless hoarder. I can't explain it. She was very minimal growing up. There was like nothing in the living room except like a tiny 24-inch giant, thick TV on a stand in the living room, a couch, and like a bar, those drink bars to hold the TV. The bar was empty. So, and she became disabled before she passed away for a couple years. And just all of her medical stuff started happening. And this was right around the time my brother and I moved out. And she just started accumulate. She would go to yard sales and thrift stores and get all these things and sell them on eBay. Sell things on eBay. But the problem was that she would bring in 20 things and sell one thing. And she had plans for everything in her house, but that's the same as every hoarder. They always have plans for something in their house, something down the line. And when my mom passed away and I was in charge of cleaning up all this stuff, we didn't inherit any money, but we inherited all this stuff. And I calculated that there were 4 4-bedroom houses worth of stuff in her house. 4 4-bedroom houses, so that's 16 bedrooms worth of stuff. 16 bedrooms worth of stuff. And it took me months to get rid of it. Months and months and months. And you go through all this psychological stuff, and there's just a lot of anger. Like, so much, like, you go through anger and with withdrawal and denial, and I don't know what the stuff is. But I remember going through a period of anger that I had to find a way to get rid of all this stuff. It was so much work. It was something like 26 truckloads to the thrift store, another 28 to the dump, and just, truckload after truckload. And it was so expensive to get rid of it. It was like thousands of dollars to get rid of this stuff that she spent money on. And to me, it was, to most people, it would be junk. And, yeah, and then everything that was left in the house was mine, anything that I wanted to keep, I guess. And so I've got an entire house decorated with stuff that's not mine, that was mostly found in the garbage. At thrift store. No, like all the furniture was in the garbage. So my whole house was decorated in garbage that I didn't like and wasn't mine. And then when I moved to Arizona, I had to downsize to half. I have half the space. I'm moving from 2,000 square feet to less than 1,000, or a little over 1,000 if you include the 12 by 10. But so I had to get rid of even more. And then when I moved from Arizona to here, back to California, I left everything. I left all the furniture in Arizona. Not a lot of stuff. It was very sparse. You guys remember that. And the problem is that moving it was more expensive than replacing it. Like, it was cheaper for me to replace all my furniture than it would have been to move it from Arizona back to California, just based on the price of the U-Haul and stuff like that. And none of it had any sentimental value or anything like that. I was literally decorating the place so that I could decorate it as like an Airbnb or a short-term or long-term rental to like traveling nurses and students and stuff like that. So I moved here, and as you can see, there's nothing on my walls. I've got a couch, a coffee table, and a TV and a TV stand in this room. And when I redid the living room, I had all these plans of how to decorate it and stuff like that. And once it was all said and done, I was like, I like it the way it is. I don't want to add artwork or tchotchkes or baubles or clutter. I just don't want it. I've got all the clutter I need in that little cabinet, which is just family photos, a few books, and my old dog's ashes, Simba's ashes. And that's more than enough for me. So pretty much everything I own to display is right there. But again, I didn't intentionally go out to become a minimalist. In my kitchen, people are like, there's over where you all have seen my kitchen makeover, all of my regular viewers here. And I didn't put cabinets above the stove. I just put shelves. And people are like, I would enclose cabinets. Well, let me tell you something. When you go into my kitchen, there's cabinets on both sides of the kitchen. I only use cabinets on half of the kitchen, and half of them are empty. And on the other side, they're completely empty. There's nothing in the cabinets, not a single thing. I'm going to start moving things around. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spread them out. I'm going to move things around because I have so few possessions in there. I've got one Rachel Ray cooking set, like pots and pans. And then I've got 4 of everything, like knives, forks, spoons. And then I've got a few cooking utensils and a blender and my food dehydrator. And that's about it. That's all I need. And I do find that the more things that I own, the more cluttered my mind becomes. I also had an ex who was a hoarder, and what they would do is they would take little magazine cuttings of whatever made them happy and put them on the wall, but they were like inches apart. And it was like every time I walked in that room, like it legit, like I'm not exaggerating, it hurt my eyes to walk in their living room or bedroom. Just, it hurt my eyes. And, all of the furniture was covered with stuffed animals. That's it, stuffed animals. And then every surface was covered. So if I wanted to go sit down in their living room or bedroom, I would have to move something. And that just drives me crazy. Drives me crazy that I have to move something in order to sit down. And my mom had the same problem, so I don't like it. And I really like the sound when I talk and I hear an echo. I like that. People think I'm crazy. I like it. Let me tell you something. I got my first compliment when somebody from my church came in the house. Well, a friend of my, anyway, came in the house and he goes, wow, it's really nice in here. Like, this is a fancy house. And I was like, it's not fancy, but I keep the outside ugly on purpose. At least the front yard. I always keep the front yard ugly. I don't want it to look nice. I don't want it to look welcoming. Yeah. In fact, I need to get a welcome mat that says go away. Yes, they sell them, and I have had one. It wore out. Or leave. Leave or go away. But, yeah, you know what, folks? I don't like stuff. And there's no, I've got the background of the psychology of it, but I don't know how I specifically implemented it into my life. It is what it is. And you have to ask yourself, there's all these different things that are going on in the world, in the United States, whatever you want to say. I mean, it started with the off-grid movement, moved to tiny living, like tiny homes, and now it's minimalism. So you have to think about all three of these somewhat extreme ways of living, and it's essentially to cut costs, because the less stuff you have, the more money you have. And that was another thing with my mom. If she wouldn't have bought all this stuff, she would have been able to leave us money. And I do have to be honest. I find I'm doing a lot of selling. And just you can't even, you're like, what are you selling? There's nothing here. Like there's still stuff here. And I sell a chair for $50. I take that $50 and I invest it. I sell a lamp for $25, and I take the less stuff I have, the more money I have. And that's the same with consumerism and purchasing too. If people didn't buy stuff, they would have money because that's what it is. It is what it is. If you didn't have a car, you'd probably have several $1,000s in the bank. If you didn't have a huge giant wardrobe, you'd probably have a couple $1,000 in the bank. And don't get me wrong, I spend money on things that are important to me. Something that, and people get me, they get me for this all the time. My TV, which I can't let you see because I don't want to get any copyright for it in the background. But my TV is very important to me. It's a big old TV. It's the biggest one that would fit on my TV stand. What is it? 60, I want to say 65. It might be 70 inches. It's huge. It only cost me $348. I got it at Black Friday a couple years ago. And I love it. I love it. I would buy it again. I would like to buy a 70-inch TV, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of things that hold media consoles that hold a 70-inch TV. I'd buy an 80-inch if I could. I'd buy a 100-inch if I could fit it somewhere. That's how much I love TV, and I don't spend any money on any subscriptions or memberships. It's just all free streaming that I do all day long, free streaming, and occasional rentals from the library. But yeah, I mean, if I sold the TV, I would have more money, but I'm not going to do that. TV and bed. The TV and the bed are my primary things. I will spend extra on a TV. I will spend extra money on a bed. And those are the most important things to me. I will have a shoebox as a side table if I have to. I'll build a coffee table out of pallets if I have to. But the TV and the bed are what are and the coffee maker are what's important to me. And a lot of people ask where I got the console. I got it on Amazon. I'll try and find it and leave my affiliate link in the description box. But no guarantees. I bought it like a few years ago, and I'm sure it's probably doubled, tripled in price. I think I paid $200 for it, $198. way back in the day. It might have been even 148. I know it had a 1 in front of it, but I don't know what's going on with furniture, folks. It's crazy. It's crazy. Furniture is insane right now. But yeah, and I don't necessarily try to teach, like, I don't necessarily think other people should be minimalists. Be a maximalist. I don't care. But just keep in mind that everything that you purchase to put in your home is less money in your pocket and more stuff in your home. So do you want money or do you want stuff? All right, folks. Hope this video has been helpful. I hope it explains a few things because I'm getting this question quite a bit. I'm getting it a lot. All right, folks. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.